we have a pandemic of Arab brother hypocrisy. Okay? Very simple example. The guy can date whoever he wants, but the second the girl starts dating someone, he needs to be approved through the lens of every man in her life. And I think that's absolute nonsense.
Welcome to another episode of Yalla Let's Talk. Today we're going to be talking about modern dating, situationships, and why men should be feminists. Today we have with us no other than Mr. Oussama.
Hi, Hani.
Habibi Oussama. Oussama is in private equity during the day and a stand-up comedian during the night. He has toured the world with stand-up comedy, and he has so many universal themes, and some of them relate back to romance. And so today we're going to talk to Mr. Oussama first about his career in comedy, and then we're going to dive into his experiences when it comes to relationships in 2023.
But only if you call me Mr. Oussama like that for the rest of the show.
Mr. Oussama. Okay, Mr. Oussama. First and foremost, Mr. Oussama, tell us the inspiration behind the hair.
The hair. Someone said, hey, you kind of remind me of Pete Davidson, and then I tried to become him.
Damn. So you do remind everyone, or you do remind me at least
a
of
little
Pete
bit.
Davidson.
Look, big mouth, big
God.
teeth, and both our lives changed with 9/11.
Damn. How did your life change with 9/11?
Oussama.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Like,
His is worse. His is worse. Yes, I already got them to laugh. That was my goal. That was actually my goal. Okay, now we're good, man. Now we're off to the races. I just needed you to break, and now we're cooking.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your siblings because I know you have a very interesting relationship with your siblings.
Yes.
And right before this, you were telling me like your sister is also your life coach.
Yes. Yeah.
How is it like to have two sisters?
Yes. I have two younger sisters. They're my best friends, truly. I read a quote. It goes, your parents are gone too soon. Your spouse and your children come too late. The only ones with you for the entire ride are your siblings.
Damn. So
I read that. I'm like, I can't wait.
They're ride it and die.
They
ride
are.
or die.
They're the only ones with you. And like when I read that, I'm like, I can't wait to say this on dates.
I love it.
It's gonna kill, dude. But it's also that I like vehemently believe in.
So how do girls react when you tell them that? Especially if they don't have a good relationship.
Exactly the way you expect them to. They love everyone. No, but it's true. Like I do believe it. That's why I say it. Like my sisters are, one of them is 1 year younger than me. The other is 7 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And we grew up like in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. Our classes were very small. 77 people per graduating class, and she was 1 year below me, so all her best friends were my best friends and vice versa. So we always grew up kind of together, but then it wasn't until we moved to university that we really became a lot closer.
And you mentioned a lot earlier as well, prior to this podcast, is that when it comes to your relationship with your sisters, is that you don't want to have that stereotype of being this toxic brother.
Yes.
So what should brothers know out there when it comes to relationships with their sisters?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Tell us.
We have a pandemic of Arab brother hypocrisy. Okay? Very simple example.
Mic drop.
The guy can date whoever he wants, but the second the girl starts dating someone, he needs to be approved through the lens of every man in her life. And I think that's absolute nonsense. And this is pretty obviously agreed to, but when I moved, so I grew up with the same pretense. I was bullied for not trying to control my sister, and credit to her, she's a boss ass lady. She wouldn't let me even if I wanted to. She was younger than me, but she was taller.
She was taller. That's
I had puberty late. But when I moved here, and I started having relationships with women, and I was like, I need to be honest to myself, and I can't be a hypocrite or a misogynist. And it's weird to say, but like I truly believe that I want my sisters to have very healthy dating lives. I don't care who it is. As long as they're learning themselves, they feel safe, they're comfortable. That's all that matters. We're in a society that puts so much pressure on finding the right partner, yet we don't give women enough freedom and flexibility to really find out who they really want to partner with. And it took a long time for me to get to this state where I started to say to even my close friends that have random weird little hypocrisies. One of my best friends, his sister was dating someone 4 years. Her boyfriend never slept in the house. Just sleeping. Take a nap. That's it. I'm not saying fuck on the couch.
Just a nap. Just a power nap.
Or sleep over. But then he started dating someone, and then the line started to blur. So it's like, this is something that Arab brothers should be more proactive with. And even if like they have more, if like your parents aren't there yet, if as a brother, do more.
I was gonna ask. I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of these brothers may not want, they may want to protect their sisters. One of it may be because of protection, and then the other thing happens to be about, quote unquote, like honor.
Yes.
What would you want to tell these brothers about honor and about protecting your sisters?
Okay. Control does not equal protection. Protection means if you need me, I'm there for you. Anything outside of these lines is crossing that boundary and not allowing them to be truly who they want to be. Now, not saying everyone feels this way, of course not, but that's when I say what I say to protection. And in terms of honor, where's the dishonor? Like my point, like if the brother's doing the same, the sister should do the same. There should be no discussion. This should be the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. Now, what if the brother is not doing anything?
Well, is he a loser?
Savage.
I mean, if he's a loser, fine.
No, sometimes sometimes they may because of values.
Okay, let's say if you are more conservative in your values and beliefs, fine, across the board. It makes more sense, but it all depends on the women doing exactly what they truly want. It's not about whether everyone is. It's just like
and I think
one step at a time.
I was gonna say, and I think I don't want to say the right answer, but I think where we're both heading towards is that at the end of the day, it's not you as a brother's choice to make for your sisters.
It's not.
It's whatever they want to do. It's their choice. It's their agency. Like you said, protection does not equal control. If you have values where you don't want to, go around date or whatever, that's you. That's up to you.
Yes.
Right? And the reason why I was mentioning that and asking that question, just to clarify, is because I do feel like that's the logic where a lot of people from ethnic communities, specifically, we're talking about Middle Eastern Arab context, will use that line to be like, you know what, this is something we gotta adhere to.
Yes.
I might make a mistake, but I also have to make sure that my sister doesn't.
Yes, no, you're right. And I think that's true. Like I spoke about hypocrisy, but it also really comes down to, even if the brother doesn't, the sister can. That it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So that it's really about, like, just because from what I see more of the hypocrisy. But of course, if a brother chooses to have certain values and live his life a certain way, but the sister would rather other things, that is also should be 1,000% allowed, and she should be supported, because that all you have with you is your family throughout this whole journey.
Absolutely.
And especially your siblings.
So now we talked a lot about the importance of just giving your siblings agency to be who they want to be, and to date whoever they want to date. But now, like, for the male listeners who are listening to this, if you can give them Hella.
Well, I can't believe you made it through that part.
I know. They probably already like skipped. I was like, another woke podcast. but
this guy with his blonde hair. Who's this guy? By the way, I'm no one. I'm nothing. I just learn. I just like set a certain rules and values for my life to make sense of it. But I ain't shit.
But I think what a lot of people are gonna listen to and see is emotional health. You have a really strong relationship with your family.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be learned from that. So I do thank you again for coming and speaking. I know you're joking, but I wanted to clarify that as well.
Of course.
Now, in terms of like dating advice for the modern man,
yes,
if you can give them one tip, one piece of dating advice, what would it be?
Stop rushing women. We've been, since we were kids, we've been like, oh, did you? And we've set this race to try and claim a woman. Stop it. No, not only does it make it uncomfortable, it makes the whole experience worse for everyone. So, like, whenever I do start seeing someone, I'm all about communication, managing expectations, and literally holding hands each step of the way. And, if things do progress, then it's a lot more fruitful for everyone involved. And it's horrifying how I've heard when I was seeing someone, I'm like, oh, but we don't need to take the next step. I'm like super happy to stay here and as long as you need. And she said, thank you for being so respectful. I'm like, what? This is the bare minimum. The bare minimum.
Yeah.
But it's something that has been wired into us that we need to unwire. And that is my number one piece of advice.
It's very interesting you say that, because there is like a culture amongst like dudes is that you want to go, especially when you're younger. I think when you get older, it's like
you learn yourself more. It's less primal.
And you're looking for like a life partner, but when you're younger, it becomes, there's this culture where it's like, how far could you go?
Yeah.
And then there becomes a question of consent, right? Because a lot of times, especially in our communities, is that there's not enough discussion on what consent looks like.
100%.
What does consent look like?
It could be, which I recommend, is you comfortable to do this? That, as simple as that. Sometimes also you don't need to sit, like sometimes it's really implied when if you're both sober and have been seeing each other and there's a vibe agreement, but that needs to be very, very obvious. But also I do like hey, just making sure we're on the same page. And sometimes it's a turn off, I'm not gonna lie. They find it like, oh, what the hell? Like it's a vibe. But I still think sometimes it's worth like, hey, we're good, right?
It's 100% so important just to ask that and just to open the lines of communication.
And and that's the thing. If you don't rush it, you don't usually need to say that line.
I do think just to like emphasize is that when it comes to consent, and for any guys who are listening, just ask. Just ask that question. I know you said like it kills the vibe. I'd rather it kill the vibe than two things. One, doing something that obviously is not consensual.
Yes.
Two, you get pressed with assault or sexual harassment.
And like the thing is, like at a bare minimum, you just don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely.
So that's when you communicate really effectively. Then you like all this gray area gets abolished.
100%. One topic I want to dive right into it, because I do think this is very stigmatized anywhere we go, is the topic of STDs. So when it comes to STDs, what is something the modern man should know?
Have you ever had one?
I've not had an STD.
Loser. No. Earlier I mentioned I put someone's health at risk. I knew this question was coming. So what happened was, now I'm giving this. That was like the trailer. Now this is the full reveal.
The full reveal.
Drum roll.
Damn.
I got chlamydia.
Oof.
Woo! The crowd goes wild. No,
Thank you for sharing. How hard was it for you to share that?
Not hard at all. Not hard at all. It was fun getting it. No. It's a blast, honestly. No. I had chlamydia, and it's not that big of a deal, and everyone needs to chill out. These things happen, and they're not that bad at all. I think not even just in all society, they're so stigmatized. But like once you go through it once, I swear I was almost surprised as to how not a factor it was in my life. Mm-hmm. At the time, I felt my world was falling apart. I was a young kid, and I'm like, what the hell did I do? But then, shortly after, I'm like, it's kind of like COVID. Before you have it, you heard the most horrifying things about it, and then you got it, and you're like, okay, I can have this once a year, Same thing.
So okay.
I was trying to make you break.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because I think there's two things I gotta just highlight here. Is number one is as much as there's stigma and fear around it, and just to correct even how I positioned it, it's not an STD, it's an STI.
Yeah.
But then you gotta remember, safety.
You definitely don't want to get it.
Yeah,
but if you do, it's gonna be okay. Oussama Tabbara.
That's gonna be the trailer right there.
Chlamydia is not that bad.
That's so funny. Well, what advice?
It's not even bad, honestly. I've had Indian food that was worse.
Indian food that was worse.
No.
Okay,
okay, I'll do another one. Dude, I've had a shawarma in Toronto that's worse than chlamydia.
That's so funny. Which place?
Basically all of them except the ones in Mississauga. Shout out Yassine's shawarma.
Damn, it's Mississauga
Man,
shawarma.
that's like a threesome in shawarma.
Oof, in shawarma world. Question though.
Answer.
So you mentioned right now when you had chlamydia, you went and you told the girl you were seeing you had it. What advice would you give to someone when you discover you have an STD or an STI?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You have to tell them right away, call them, especially in women, like chlamydia, if untreated, can lead to fertility problems. But you got to own it right away, own your mistake, learn from it, tell them right away so they can get treated as quickly as possible to mitigate any potential.
Do you have
health
any tips
issues.
on how they can bring that topic up? Be like,
No, you
hey,
can't. Okay, I will tell you. There's no way to say it. You just have to call them, own up to it, and be like, hi, I have some bad news. I have this. You should go get your self-tester right away. I'm sorry, and have a good life.
have a good life.
No, but you can actually be friends with someone. You can be friends with your exes that you gave chlamydia to.
Well, that's by Oussama Tabbara.
Oussama Tabbara.
That's a quote. Oussama Tabbara.
I did, man. I'm friends with my ex. Yeah, no, we learned, like, she obviously, it took a lot of time.
Yeah.
To be friends with your ex, regardless of whether you have this hurdle or not, is very challenging.
I was just going to ask about that.
Yeah.
Like, let's dive right into that. So we talked right now about STDs. You guys got so many good quotes by Oussama Tabbara. We talked about
that are going to make my mom and dad either remarry to try to, like, fix me. Okay.
So the last topic I want to dive right into is friends with exes.
Yeah.
A lot of times people would say a big red flag is if you're dating someone and they're friends with their exes.
That's true.
What do you have to say to that?
Yes. So I am, as I mentioned, friends with my exes and with women that have been part of my life. And it is true, when I meet new women and I tell them this, they're like, that's a flag. I'm like, yeah, a green one. It shows I communicate well, I'm not an asshole, and I manage expectations. But they're like, no. I want a guy that if he sees his ex on the street, he crosses to the other side. I'm like, yeah, that guy probably has to. Damn. Legally. It's called a restraining order, bro. But it's not easy. It's not easy to get there.
How do you get there then?
I will. You definitely need time to separate, and there is a prerequisite. The prerequisite is your sexual attraction to one another needs to die.
Oussama Tabbara.
It is true. It's very hard to be friends with your ex when there is that sexual chemistry and nostalgia associated to it.
I guess my next question is going to be do you think that would ever die? Like, do you think...
1,000%. Me and my ex look at each other like, how did we even... Ugh. You. Literally, you.
So you think you can completely omit any type of sexual attraction you have?
1,000%. I've done it. And she sublet my apartment. You know what I mean? We crossed all lines.
You crossed all lines.
Yeah, money talks. But yeah, no, like that needs to happen. You also, as you remeld the friendship, have to communicate along the way.
How do you do that out of curiosity?
Okay, it's if you really want them in your life. It's sometimes you don't really all right, that friendship came and went, Allah ma'ik, and Allah ma'ak, or whatever. But if you're like, this person is really valuable to me, amazing soul, great person, and I want them in my life, you have to take some time away for sure. Kind of recalibrate. For me, it took a year and a little bit. And then when we started talking again, and things were flaring up, we kind of talked about it and squashed it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And eventually it almost turned into a bestie friendship where now we talk about our dating lives together. I give her dating advice, she gives me dating advice. But it was just a lot of again, hand holding and getting through the weird hurdles of, should we do it again? No, we shouldn't. And even if you do, you can still but eventually you need to come to terms with this sexual relationship is dead. Now we can be friends.
Then I have a counter argument to that, is that, let's say it's dead, but then you have that history with them, you still find them attractive.
Yeah.
Would you not at one point have that curiosity or that attraction to go back to it? And that's what I think a lot of people might be scared if they're dating someone who's friends with their ex, because you're not attracted to this person right now, but what if they have a history?
No.
What if they have that attraction again?
I understand that, and that's very valid, and that it comes down to you got to be very honest with yourself again. I can tell you with full certainty that like life and death, that sexual attraction is truly dead. Can't like because sometimes like you have friends that are girls that are like pretty, but you would never even consider it. Eventually your ex becomes that person. That is the person who, best case scenario, is what your ex that you want to be friends with turns into. That best friend you have that's from the gender you're attracted to, and you will never ever touch.
Yo, you know what? I don't know if I actually agree with that, because like, I'll tell you why.
Let's have that conversation.
Let's have a conversation
this
on
is
it.
one way, baby.
Yeah, it's a one way. Yalla, let's talk. Because here's the thing, and this is like, obviously it's nuanced, and maybe there's like a different dynamic, and if everyone has lines of communications that's open and like live in this utopia, boom. But in my opinion, if someone was in a relationship with someone else and it was very intense, and now they're just friends, and they've claimed that love has died.
Not love, attraction.
Attraction has died.
Attraction.
That they've claimed that attraction has died. I agree. Clarifying that. I may trust that person that I'm with, but I don't know if I trust the ex. Because what if the ex starts like doing some, shady stuff, like, like flirting? Because I can guarantee you they will start flirting at one point.
I mean, in my case, no. But again, it is nuanced. And it does lie in the trust of your partner. Doesn't matter. If you trust them, it could be their ex. It could be someone at the bar. Anyone can still flirt and try to, hit on your partner. But if you trust them fully, then that's kind of all you can do. And like, in my case, my ex, she's in my friend group. Like, we're fine. Yeah. It's easy peasy.
So again, I get it. Like, you can trust that person and everything, but I just feel like, at least for me,
like, I understand the hesitation. I understand it. Like,
absolutely.
I fully get it. It's not a perfect system, but it's as close as you're gonna get if you really want to have that.
But I think let's kind of also clarify like what kind of level of friendship that is. Like, if it was just like, we're in the same friend circle and like they're saying hi to each other. Yo, that's cool. I get it. That's respectful.
Yeah.
Like, but then if you're telling me that, my like current girlfriend is now talking to her ex and she is just asking for relationship advice and all that kind of, I'd be like, yo, like why are you emotionally cheating on me? Even if it's not sexual.
It's not emotional cheating either.
How is that not emotional cheating?
I mean, if she's giving someone advice, it's not emotional cheating. It's just giving your friend advice.
So you're just thinking it's completely innocent.
I don't know. Like, everything I've really been in since is just so like, I'm all in on trust and not one lie is ever said. Moving forward.
But I guess what I'm trying to say, and I think this is where I got lost in trying to communicate this, is that why put your relationship in an environment where there may be some, like, it's just not going to be fruitful for like having a healthy relationship. At least that's how I see it.
But see, again, that's the thing. It depends if that relationship is a bad apple or not. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty rare to be very good friends with your ex. But oftentimes when you do see it in the wild, it is those success stories where it's like, oh, like he's like, Aboudi. No, what do you mean? It's Aboudi. We did it in like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We're just friends now. And then Aboudi, and then you like Aboudi, and then you see how they operate and you see how they behave, and you're like, all right, this is not a threat on me, and also B, I trust my partner fully, whatever it is. I get both sides of the argument. I'm just saying, as close as I've been able to see or get to has been under these like certain principles and methodologies.
No, I get it. It's a very interesting point of view, because like you're even challenging things that I believe in, because I'm like, no, if someone is broken up, but at the same time, like what I was gonna say, but when I look back, I'm like, yo, I'm actually friends with a lot of people I've been in situationships with. And
same thing, basically.
So, and it is the same thing, but it's also kind of like, it is, but it's not, because it's still, it's when I think of someone who's an ex, someone who's developed a relationship, it's like they're a big part of that person's life and their history.
Yes.
And I think there's either a way of like honoring that and not to like cut that person off, because like, hey, you want to respect their love for that person as well. But then it's also like, how do we create an environment for ourselves so we're able to flourish? And like, I wouldn't feel insecure if I know you're talking to this guy whenever your emotional needs are not met. that's, I guess, a conversation that is very nuanced, and it depends from person to person.
It is.
But I think the most universal thing, and I think we both are saying the same thing, which is you gotta communicate with your partner.
And the thing is, we've made communicating about hard things seem harder than it is. It's 5 sentences usually. 5 sentences can clear up your whole skies, and then you know how to navigate and take it the next day and really further grow your relationship.
Absolutely. Communication is key.
Dating's easy.
Dating is easy. Oussama Tabbara.
Dating's easy. Oussama Tabbara. Dating is easy. It actually is easy.
And what makes it so easy?
Once I've fully immersed myself in being the most communicative person, almost to a fault, you'll have moments of ebbs and flows. Of course, I've definitely been sad, I've been hurt, of course, but it's easy to understand people's incentives and decisions they make once you've communicated so much, and once you've kind of I'm older now, I've been through enough relationships where I'm like, all right, this person is feeling this type of way, I should do this or I should do that. And and also I'm an open book, so for me it's very easy to communicate exactly how I'm feeling, and we can squash it, close it, move on, or push forward together or not. It comes to being truly who you are, being extremely self-aware about what you're doing, why you're doing it, what you're looking for in a person. And once you have done all the work for yourself, then it becomes fun, because you're no longer filling holes of yourself in other people, which is when I was young making big mistakes, I was filling my holes with other people. Whereas now I'm looking for, I'm as whole as I can be, but continuously a work in progress. I try to find someone else that is equally in the same, methodology. And then it's a 1 + 1 = 3,000 situation. And that's the way I've viewed, my dating life and how I'm operating these days.
And I appreciate you saying all of this, and I think a lot of people who are going to be listening it's going to resonate with them. There's hopefully, yeah.
But
there's
also,
a lot of
I don't know anything. I know nothing. I truly believe that. I know
so
nothing.
Humble.
I know nothing. I know nothing. And I'm nobody.
He's giving you some real talk.
I'm just a guy with a microphone.
He's a guy with a microphone with cool vibes and keeping it real. Keeping it real. No, I genuinely do appreciate it. I think a lot of...
Thank you for having me on.
Habibi, bro. And Jed, it's an honor as always.
Likewise.
And this was really special for me because, we became homies not too long ago.
Damn right, baby.
Yeah. And I remember the first time
Hani
we talked.
and Ous coming to you soon.
Yeah. That's a whole other show that we can create.
That would be fun. Hani and Ous.
Yeah.
Except it would just be me roasting people and you awkwardly laughing.
I'd be awkwardly laughing. You made the awkward laughter. But just to kind of wrap it up and just to conclude, we talked a lot about families. We talked about how you're happy for your parents, and if you are in a situation where your parents are dating, how do you then approach that?
Yeah.
We talked about being an Arab brother and what that looks like, and how to treat your sisters with agency and give them the space. We talked about situationships. We talked about STDs, and we talked about whether you should be friends with your ex.
My name is Oussama Tabbara. Thank you for watching. You can find me at ous_comedy on Instagram. And please follow, subscribe to Yalla Let's Talk, and give us 5 stars. And don't give anyone chlamydia.